Hi, so this will be our final session of adding contents to our document. And in this session, we will be adding a table of contents, we will be adding a table of figures, a table of tables, and also our list of references. So if you remember, in our first session of this part, what we've done is we added some random content with headings, we added some figures into our document, and we've added some tables to our document. So what we want to do now is go into the second part of our document, the contents pages, where we will be adding our different tables of contents. Now there's three tables that you want to add to your document. The first is a table of contents, the second will be the table of figures, and the last will be your table of tables. So before we start, let's just do our normal save that we usually do at the beginning of our sessions. So I clicked on the little save button there at top, and you can also click Control S, which will save. Is a nice shortcut, keyboard shortcut, or you can always click on File and Save to save any document. So let's kick this off by adding our table of contents. So let's quickly take that out. So what we want to do is we will go into references. You'll see you have home, insert, design, layout, and references. And under references, you will see the first option there is table of contents. In our case, what we want to do is we want to select to create a custom table of contents. So we've got all the different automatic built-in table of contents, but what we want to do is we want to create a custom table of contents. So let's click on that, and the communication menu will open up, and what we want to do is we say from our template we want to include at least 3 levels into our table of contents. Now what that means is heading 1, our chapter numbers will be included, heading 2, 1.1 will be included, and heading 3, 1.1.1 will be included in our table of contents. So in our table of contents, we also always want to show 3 levels. You don't want to show more than that, you don't want to show less than that, you will show 3 levels in your table of contents. But remember, at the beginning we created our own heading, the TOC heading, that we also want to include in our table of contents. Now that will be unnumbered headings that we want to use throughout our document. So in order to include that in our table of contents, we will now go and click on Options. And under Options, this new communication menu that opens up, you will see there's a built table of contents from our different types of styles. So using our styles, we want to use style heading 1, style heading 2, and style heading 3. And in our table of contents, that will be level 1, level 2, level 3. Now we're going to scroll down all the way to our TOC heading. Remember that TOC heading that we created in session 2 of our document setup session part. So what we're going to do is we want to include that in our table of contents. So I'm just going to click that at level 1 because we want to include TOC heading in our document, and I will click on OK, and I will click on OK, and there we have our table of contents that was added to our document. To do is we want to add a field there, the heading. So I'm going to go to Home, I'm going to use TOC heading, and I'm going to write the table of contents. I'm going to change that. I don't want to, let's make that just normal text because I don't want that to be included in my table of contents. So we've got the table of contents, and there's the outline of our table of contents in this document, including the list of references appendices that we added at the back. Now remember, these were TOC heading styles, and that is why it is included in our table of contents at this stage. So we also said that we wanted to include a list of our figures and a list of our tables. So I always like to include a page break here. However, this is entirely up to you whether you want to do that or not. I just like to include page breaks. So we're going to include that there, insert our page break. And what we want to do is we want to now enter our list of or table of figures. So let's go to TOC heading because we want to include that in our table of contents to say this is our, where is our table of figures. So let's write table of figures. That will be added there. And we also want to include a table of tables. So look at this. What I've done is I've used TOC heading to create that heading, and I use TOC heading to create our table of tables. So I'm just clicking in an empty space under table of figures. I'm right clicking so my cursor appears there, and now we're going to add our table of figures. In order to do that, we'll once again on our menu bar click on references. And right there in the middle, remember we had the table of contents there at the, as our first option. Now right there at the middle, almost the middle, we've got under captions, we've got an option that says insert table of figures. So let's click on insert table of figures, and it will give me an option to add the figures that will what our preview will look like. We want to show page numbers, right along our page numbers. The tab leader will be our little dots. I like that. In general, it will be from a template, and the caption label that we're going to use is figures. Now, if you remember, when we inserted our captions to either the figures or the tables, we were able to select different types of captions. In this case, we first want to use the caption label for figures. Include the label and the number. Yes, this is what we want to do. And I'm going to click on OK, and there's your table of figures. And very much the same that we've just done for our table of tables. I'm going to go to references, insert table of figures. I'm just going to change my caption label to tables. You'll see it immediately print preview, it changes to tables, and I'm going to click on OK, and this shows the tables that has been added to our document. Right, so right now these two tables of contents for the figures and tables have been added to our document, but it doesn't appear in our table of contents yet. So in order to update our table of contents, and I want to also remove this title page that we don't want as a heading in this table of contents, I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to say update field, and you want to update the entire table. I'm going to click on OK, and you'll see the title page option has disappeared, but now what has been added is our table of contents, because that's a TOC heading, our table of figures TOC heading, and our table of tables, and you'll see that is on page I, and II, and then our chapter 1 starts on page 1 of the main body, and that is adding a table of contents, a table of figures, and a table of tables to your document. The last thing that we want to add to our document is our list of references. So list of references, one of our presentations will show you how to use either how to use Mendeley, but if you are going to use the citations or bibliography, the built-in references sources of the Microsoft Word itself, in order to insert that, you will simply go to bibliography and say insert bibliography, and that will be inserted in here. However, I prefer to use Mendeley, and in Mendeley, once you've got the app installed or the add-on installed in Microsoft Word, you will go to references, the Mendeley communication panel that opens up on this side. We'll click on more and we'll say insert bibliography, and right at your cursor location it will insert that bibliography. And remember, I used a random paragraph generator from this website, and this is my list of references that we've used in this document. And that is it for adding contents of tables and your list of references to your Microsoft Word document. In our next part, the final part 3 of this Microsoft Word workshop, we will start to check our document, and that session will consist of 3 parts. We will show you how to use your track changes and the comments that your supervisors may give to you, and you can also communicate back to your supervisor without altering anything in your main document. I will show you how to use Microsoft Word's editor, and then the final part, just checking some basic formatting in the document, such as captions and the cross references that we've inserted in this session. And that is it for adding content to your document. If you remember, in this part of the Microsoft Word workshop, we've added content under our different types of headings using heading 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the styles that we've created in part 1 of the setup of our document. We've added some figures, we added captions to those figures, and we inserted the sources of the figures. We've also added some tables, and the same with the tables, we showed you how to plan your table, how to repeat table headings, and how to use row breaks in adding tables. And then the final bit that we've done is added cross references, and then in this session I showed you how to add different types of content tables to your